Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is our 2020, we're recognizing our projects that were completed in 2020. We have some really good ones. Even though 2020 was a difficult year, we had some really good accomplishments. So I'm excited to see all the great nominations that came through. But before we get started, on May 13th, we have a lunch meeting. We'll be looking at the City of Arroyo Grande's Bridge Street project. Kelly Wheeler will be leading that meeting. And then we have National Public Works Week is May 16th to the 22nd. And this year's theme is Stronger Together. So I would encourage you all to share with us, the chapter, what you're doing with your agencies and teams to celebrate Public Works Week. We'd like to share that with the rest of the chapter just so that people can get ideas for what they can do in future years or even this year. And then we have a couple of maternity leaves coming up on the board. Julie Sines and I will both be out beginning next Friday, April 9th through the beginning of August. So if you need to get a hold of anybody at the chapter, the rest of our board members are listed on our website, but our president-elect, Leroy Cadena, will be fielding most of our requests. And he's on the call today. And what else? Or we're still looking for a communications chair. So if you or anyone you know may be interested, please let us know. And lastly, we have a few raffles going on throughout this event. And in the spirit of reinvigorating the local economy, we just really wanted to keep these local. And we have a few we selected that cover kind of the region of our chapter. So we'll flash those up at first. The first raffle, you'll see, I think there are 6 different options for gift cards. But we don't expect you to pick on the spot. I'll be following up with each of the winners with an email, and you'll have time to select which gift card you'd like. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Brianna.
All right. Thank you, Amy, and welcome everybody to our annual Project and Professional of the Year award ceremony. We have some exciting projects to share this year, and thank you to everybody who contributed to these projects, who submitted nominations, and really worked hard to put forth projects that better our community and help everyone around us. So we're going to start with the projects of the year. Our first category is environmental. And our first winner and nomination was environmental under 2 million with the City of Santa Barbara Cater Cross Tie and South Coast Conduit Booster Pump Station VFD replacement project. That is a mouthful, but it's a really, really fantastic project and so critical to the city's infrastructure. Presenting today is Carson. Carson, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic. So Carson Woolert with the City of Santa Barbara is here to present the details. And on the project, he was supported by Matt Davis with Davis Construction and Robert Moody with Taft Electric. So Carson, if you want to go ahead and take it away from here, and just let me know when to change the slide. We have another slide with some further details.
Just one more slide, yeah. Okay, yes. So this project was, as it says in the mouthful, replacing VFDs at this pump stations that's supplied by Cater Water Treatment Plant. So this pumps water from Cater to Carpinteria and Montecito through the South Coast Conduit. Those are the big 300 horsepower pumps. And then we've got, there's 2 300 horsepower pumps there, and there's another pump station that supplies water there as well, the Cater Cross Tie, which moves water from this, roughly 500-foot elevation up to 1,300 foot of elevation, another set of 300 horsepower pumps. anyway, you get it that they're critical to the city's infrastructure or water supply system. And the control building that we don't see here, but these were installed in the 90s and they were just aging. And so on hot days, literally hot days, these VFDs would take themselves offline. Was a problem we were having. And so the need for this project. And it was an interesting combination to start, in that Water Resources reached out to the VFD supplier directly and were able to come up with the design plans and purchase the VFDs directly from the supplier, Rockwell, and Rockwell provided the installation drawings. So we were trying to do like for like as best we could, but Rockwell came out and took measurements and counted all the electrical connections and all the instrumentation connections and provided the installation drawings. So we didn't have a traditional civil engineer design set to start, because it was just remove a cabinet, replace a cabinet, and make all the electrical connections. Which so anyway, we were able to do that and buy them directly, and saved markup on all that, about $600,000 I think in materials for this. And then we went out to bid with just with the installation purposes. The contractor supplied a little bit of wiring, but that was about it. But there was a lot of coordination with shutdowns with Edison and shutdowns with water supply internal to the plant. And that's where Matt Davis, I think, did a great job in coordinating and making sure that we had the shutdown scheduled. The timing of it was right between the different agencies and staff. So yeah, it was overall a successful project. You can go to the next slide and take a look at what we had there. So just generally looking at panels, and you see the guys with protective gear. One of the pieces of this was replacing automatic transfer switch that was supplying the South Coast conduit. And what we found was we had the Cater cross tie pumps did not have a backup generator. So we were able to essentially write a change order to duplicate the automatic transfer switch they supplied on the other side and install it here. And that's what this colorful wires that we see in the photo on the right of the photo to install that automatic transfer switch. And then always when you're dealing with existing equipment, you find things that were not, find things that were deficient or things you didn't know about along the way. So there was some bus bar work, and I think the 1200 amp breaker that was a repair in the middle. But Kioe electrical engineers came along and was able to provide some inspection work and some design work in the middle of it that really helped it run smoothly overall. And I guess we'll get the test this summer, but I expect the cooling and just the newer electrical equipment that these will keep running through our hot months. But that was about it. Matt, I see you're on here, whether you have anything to add or to talk about this project.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Carson. Good job on the project yourself. And just a technical correction. This contract was actually Philippine engineering. So kudos to FE for landing it. But yeah, the project itself was different, to say the least, compared to our standard public works project makeup. Taft did a great job. The city did a great job. It took a lot of coordination, keeping the systems operating while replacing the new equipment in phases. So definitely different, but all around went really well. Also considering COVID impact that hit right kind of in the middle of the project, or kind of near the completion, put a little bit of a obstacle in the overall operations and completion of the project.
So yeah, if there's any questions that myself or Matt would be happy to answer, I'm sure. Or we can move on. Thank you. I went into the office and picked up the award today, so that'll be going up.
Excellent. Anybody have any questions? A great project. All right. So moving on, we have our first raffle. So Amy, are you going to run the raffle?
Yeah, so if you could stop sharing, I'll share
Okay.
the screen real quick.
There we go.
Okay. Can y'all see?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, our first raffle winner is John Fry. Congratulations.
All right.
I will stop sharing and back to you. Brianna, you're gonna,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
have the raffle prizes on the next slide, I believe.
Yep. There we are. So Amy, did you want to, let's see, sorry, I always forget I have to click it twice. Did you want to go through these?
But I
and
just wanted to
explain?
flash this up. So these are the options. As we go through the raffles, just know that this list will be sent to you and you'll get to choose.
What's going on with my name on the screen here?
You're the winner. So, so yeah, you'll get to choose a gift card from one of these local restaurants. And I'll be contacting you via email. Congrats.
Okay. All right. Up next, we have the structures category. And for structures under 2 million, the Santa Barbara County had a great project with Flood Control and Water Conservation District with the East Side Storm Drain Outlet Reconstruction Project. This project wouldn't have been possible without the district and Matt Griffin, Philippine Engineering, Kelly Wheeler, and Bruff Construction. So I believe Matt and Jonathan are on the line to present the project. Are you guys here? I see Matt.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm Yoga Maran with Santa Barbara County Flood Control and Water Conservation District. We completed this project last year. I was assisting Matt Griffin with managing this project. First off, I would like to thank APWA for recognizing this project, and we appreciate it. So this project is actually right on the beach, the surf zone in East Beach, a very high profile recreational area. So due to the harsh conditions this structure is exposed to, it was significantly deteriorated over time, and it was time to be replaced. I think this picture was taken right after the existing structure was demoed. Next slide, please. So this map here shows the East Side Storm Drain watershed, a little over 600 acres that drains through this storm drain. The yellow line indicates the pressurized system. And in that area where it says residual area, that 400 acres, the storm drain does not collect any runoff from there. It only collects the water runoff from the upper east side from the Cortina system and discharges at the East Beach at the very bottom. You can see at the beach, bottom of this map. That's where the structure is located. This is also the largest storm drain system in the city of Santa Barbara. The pictures that you see in the corners of this map were taken during the original construction of this storm drain from, I think, from 1976. Next slide, please. I briefly want to touch on two different issues that we came across during this project. Even though the project was awarded in July, we had to wait till the day after Labor Day to begin the construction due to a condition that was placed by the California Coastal Commission for recreational purposes. And we also wanted to complete the project before the rainy season, because any significant storm event could be disastrous for the project. And we were able to complete this project successfully within 2 months, within the 2 months, and before the rainy season. So that was something that was a pretty big success for us. And the other issues that we came across was the diversion of the standing water and the flow in the storm drain. We were able to divert the flow in the storm drain using a cofferdam and a few pumps. And also we installed a couple of dewatering wells near the outlet structure and was able to keep the construction area dry throughout the construction period. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank City of Santa Barbara for helping us coordinate this project. And these are a couple of pictures that were taken during construction. And Philippine Engineering did an amazing job with inspection and coordinating with flood control and the contractor and helping us complete this project very successfully. Next slide, please. These are just two pictures, pre and post construction of the outlet structure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, we'll move on. Next up in the structures category is the 5 to 15 million City of Pismo Beach Pier Plaza. So there's been so much work going on with Pismo. Last year we shared the pier project, and now it's the Pier Plaza. So here to present today is Ben Fine. Also supporting the project was Pat Rydell with Canon and Todd Edwards with Vernon Edwards. So Ben, you're up.
Thank you, Brianna. City of Pismo is honored and humbled to be recognized for this project. I want to recognize Eric Eldridge, our senior engineer who ran the project, along with Pat Rydell from Canon. The two teamed up on the Pismo Pier, and they're the A-team. Unfortunately, Eric's not for hire for the rest of you guys, but I will tell you they are the A-team. The project basically remodeled the City of Pismo Beach's living room. In addition to the hardscape that you see here, the 7.5-foot tall Pismo Beach letters that light up at night, a playground with a slide to the beach, new bathrooms. It also put in a new drainage system, beach access structure, upgraded the sewer system and some water lines. So it was really a much bigger project than just what you see. I think there's another slide, Brianna, if you want to jump to it. So here you can see the letters lit up. They're programmable, they're changeable. We change them for holidays. It's absolutely awesome. One of the challenges that we had was COVID. Obviously, anybody who built a project last year knows what COVID did to the supply chain and getting some of the play equipment and pavers and everything else delivered and installed definitely threw wrinkles into the project. On one hand, it was a little bit of a blessing because the contract said that they had to keep the pier and access to the pier open throughout the project. Once COVID hit, we actually closed the pier to keep people from congregating, and that allowed the contractor to actually speed up and catch up a bit. So here you can see the playground, the slide to the beach. When we first pitched that, people thought we were crazy. But you know, a lot of agencies don't do fun stuff like that anymore. They're so risk averse that they're not willing to do it. The communities absolutely loved it. The new restrooms, the old restrooms were beyond salvage. These new restrooms are absolutely beautiful. There's public art on each side of them, mosaics. So that was really cool. And then the letters, you know, I talked a little bit about the letters. They have a DMX controller in them, and what you can do with those letters is absolutely amazing. So we had a lot of fun with them for Christmas and Hanukkah this year or last year, and we're talking about doing something fun for our 75th anniversary, which is this year. We're gonna do a celebration for, and obviously the 4th of July. I do also want to recognize Charlie Gray, who was part of the project management team. And you know, without those three folks, this project, as you see, would not be here. If you haven't seen it in person, I recommend you come down, but not this week or next, because it's spring break and it's more crowded than you want to deal with right now. If there's any questions, I know Eric's on. I think I saw Charlie was on. I don't know if Pat was on, but we're happy to answer any questions. And again, we're just honored and humbled to be recognized. Thank you.
I have a question, Ben. This is Leroy.
Yeah.
The question is, how did you guys come up with this idea? Did you have a contest, or you know, what was the procedure for that?
What we did is we locked Eric in a room and we told him he can come out when it's fully designed with no food and no bathroom. And he came up with a really quick, no, we worked for a long time. RRM Design Group actually did the design and a lot of the ideas were theirs. There was, you know, some community outreach involved, but the design, if you go back one, Brianna. So you can see the paver design, that was RRM. The area in front of the letters mimics the diamonds on the pier. And then the pavers are these wave kind of shaped pavers. And it's supposed to kind of be a motif of the ocean coming up on the sand. They go from a blue to a green, the whitewash, and then to tan. They really did a phenomenal job with the pretty picture design of the whole thing.
Well, I just want to say, I think it's a really, like you said, a fun project, and it looks like fun. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen it. I got to go down there and see it.
Yeah, well done. It is an amazing project. All right. Any other questions? Okay, so we have one more. We have another raffle here. Amy, do you want to? I'll stop sharing. You want to share your screen?
Yep. All right, let me know when you can see.
You got it.
Okay. I know, I love that peer project. That is so fun. Okay, it looks like our next winner is Cindy. Cindy, I don't have a last name for you. Are you, if you're on, please type your full name and email address in the chat box and I'll be following up with you shortly.
Okay, I'll go back to sharing my screen. And next up, we have the transportation category. This one's always fun. We have it's been the $2 to $5 million category. The City of Goleta Old Town Sidewalk Improvements Project. Here to present today, we have James Winslow with the City of Goleta. Toro Enterprises, Mike Barrow ran the job, and the consultants, M&S Engineers, Sean Koleski, and Philippine Engineering with Kevin Connors and Matt Davis. So big team of some really amazing and incredible professionals on our coast. James, are you here?
Yeah, I am.
All
Can you hear
right,
me okay?
fantastic. Yep, take it
Awesome.
away.
Thank you so much, APWA, for the honor of recognizing the work that everyone put into this project and in the City of Goleta. You know, first, huge thanks to council. You know, council really directed this project. They saw a need for the community. They heard from the community, and they really responded by pushing this project, and city leadership for supporting it. And then another huge thanks to Teresa Lopes, senior project engineer, my colleague. Together with her and the rest of our team, we secured a cycle $2.25 million ATP grant, which was a heavy lift at the time. Lots of all-nighters, lots of 14, 16-hour days for about a month and a half. So wouldn't have been possible without that funding and the support from Public Works and Goleta. And then the team, you know, you mentioned a bunch of them. Canon Engineers actually did the preliminary design. They did a great job. Keone Cow and Michael Kilburn. And then M&S Engineers, you know, Sean, you mentioned Michael Ip, And then the supporting team with Hamner and Jewell and Associates, Kathy Springford did a lot. I'll mention that in a minute. And Toby Ayers with Ayers and Associates. Construction management, you mentioned Philippine, Matt, and Kevin. Kevin stepped in for Matt when he went out on his own, and we wish him well. But we also have Daniel Anderson and Tyler Beats, who just did a lot of work during COVID to make sure the project was successful. And then the contractors, Toro Construction, Mike Barrow was the on-site project manager. Sergio Ruiz is the foreman, and of course the owner, Sean Castillo. So huge thanks to everyone that helped out with this project. And then with the community outreach, I couldn't not thank our community relations manager, Kelly Hoover, and assistant Jamie Shaw, who just worked tirelessly with us to continue to put out notices during design as we approach construction, and then during construction to continually provide updates to the community. So thank you to everyone who helped out with this project. And next slide, please. So the project is really Old Town is a community, it's densely populated, has a lot of parking challenges. And we see before us a before and after picture of Nectarine on the left there, and then Fairview as an after picture, Fairview and Mandarin. There's not a lot of connecting streets. Again, it's densely populated and parked. And really the sidewalks, as you can see, either were there, they were substandard, or they hit utilities, trees, fences. We had a lot of private encroachments. And so the project really had a ton of community engagement. We went beyond what we would normally do by quite a bit. And with the 100 parcels that were there, the owners, the tenants, the businesses, the Spanish-speaking community, to really try to engage as many people during design as we could. That involved with Kathy and myself and a few others, a lot of door-to-door. And as I mentioned, just a ton of different methods to try to engage the Spanish-speaking community and residents through radio and mailings and in English and Spanish, as well as, again, walking the community with translators. Parking is a huge challenge in Old Town, so we added 39 back-in angle parking spots, and that was the first street we did on Magnolia, just to provide more parking as soon as possible. We had the LID techniques that we incorporated, a lot of curb cuts to try to capture as much stormwater as we could. And then also adding lighting. SCE will be adding lighting in the future. Can we go to the next slide, please? So here's just some really great before and after shots that demonstrate, again, the private encroachments, the utility conflicts. You see people walking in the street on Mandarin Avenue, around poles and hedges. We have sidewalks that just stop on the bottom, such as Tecolote. That was pretty common everywhere. And then the after photos. And then the other location was Pine Avenue. This is a great picture. We have a number of photos. A lot of them didn't turn out well, but a lot of people pushing strollers with kids in the street before. And now they have sidewalks that provide a lot more safety for them. And here's a person in a wheelchair heading down Pine Avenue, one of the 10 streets. And before and after, you can see a big difference, just like everywhere else where the sidewalks were put in. The great thing about this project is this is what we love to do for Public Works, taking it through, council saying, let's do it, working with all the design, the environmental, the right-of-way, the public outreach, and then the construction management team and contractors to build something that really benefits the community. And I have heard nothing but really great positive comments when I've gone back in there to do checks on the post-storm rain events. And people I run into are just thrilled to have the project done and the sidewalks in place. Is there one more slide? Or is that it? That's it. Yep. So I know Sean's on the line and a couple others if you wanted to say something real quick, or Kevin with Philippine.
No, I think the team did a great job getting through this project. It was at times it was pretty intense, and there were some deadlines due to the funding. So I'm glad it was successful. It was a challenge, but glad to be a part of it.
Well,
thanks for keeping it going, James.
Yeah, this was an outstanding job, and James, I think you said it best when this is the heart and soul of what we do at Public Works. It really is, and So thank you for spearheading the project and to everybody that was involved.
And I see Matt's on there. I know, Matt, do you want to say anything? Or are you good? I know COVID was a huge challenge, like with everyone has already mentioned before. And Matt, you were the first RE before you went out on your own. Did you want to say anything about the challenges with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, James. And you guys did a great job, you and M&S, of teeing up the technical details, which there are many, between the utility coordination, which was a challenge throughout, and the public outreach with all of the neighborhood impacts, pretty significant. You guys had it organized well in phases, and then Toro did good at kind of stepping through those phases in an organized fashion. So I think overall that prep and then the actual execution came off well to make it be a success. COVID was a challenge, but then also Toro did very cooperative job following protocol, masks, and sanitizing, etc. Sounds like my house. So overall, yeah, I think there was plenty of opportunity for hangups throughout, and all of the members of the team did well to march it forward, even through COVID, so forth. So yeah, well done.
And I just want to conclude with, I was out on paternity leave, and so our deputy director, James Campero, who was new to the city, stepped in. Teresa Lopes really helped out a lot with the construction, just managing that early phases with start of construction during COVID. And then Tom Wagner with WAG Ups probably worked the hardest he's ever worked, trying to coordinate all the utilities, particularly the challenges with Edison. So huge thanks to everyone, and we're hopefully to have you guys on the team again soon.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. This is Kevin. Yes, it's such a complicated project for just a sidewalk job. You're thinking sidewalks, how tough can it be? But it is an extremely complicated job. And I have to say that this project got more compliments from the public than any project that I've been involved with. And I think that's a testament to the work that Toro did. They did an outstanding job.
All right, well, we'll move on. Thank you all. It was a fantastic effort. Let's see here. And an honorable mention for the 2 to 5 million. This was a competitive category this year. So this was the City of Santa Barbara De La Guerra Street Bridge Replacement Project. Laura Yanez is here to present on that. And the team consisted of Granite Construction with Veronica McHugh and Philippine Engineering led by Kelly Wheeler. So Laura, if you want to share a little bit about the project.
Sure, and I have a 6-week-old in my arms, so let's hope he cooperates. This is his first presentation.
That's so sweet.
Thank you, APWA, for recognizing this project. Although a small bridge, it definitely had a lot of complexities and things that we had to navigate throughout the construction and even the design process as well. So the project consisted of removing and replacing the existing concrete bridge and installing new channel walls, relocating domestic water that was on the bridge, some stormwater features, some creek restoration. And so at the beginning or onset of construction, we hit off with a few delays, which consisted of a nesting hummingbird, which decided to create its nest under the bridge just before we started construction. So we had to wait for those little chicks to be born and to fledge from the nest, which was quite interesting. I think those were the most watched hummingbirds in the South Coast. And then once they fledged the nest, we ran into a few Edison conflicts. There were a number of lines that ran on top of the bridge overhead. And so coordinating with Edison and getting those, what we thought was de-energized, but actually needed to be relocated temporarily. And so navigating all of the, hoops to get that coordinated and ready so we can get started within the very limited creek window of construction. So once we, coordinated that, thanks to Philippine and their connections and the different stakeholders and key players that they know at Edison and different agencies that helped kind of manage all that and get the project running just in time. And so some of the other things we ran into, if you want to go into the next picture, or next slide. So like I said, removing the overhead lines, we also had a 100-year-old sycamore tree, which was on the side on one of the creek banks. And so what looked like a perfect go around during design, during construction turned out to be a lot more complicated. And so we found that the construction of the channel walls was going to severely impact the tree and probably result in its either toppling over or just not surviving. And so then we worked closely with the city arborist and another arborist that we hired. Can't think of his name right now, but yeah, worked with him closely and were able to save the tree by reducing the length of the channel wall, working with flood control, county flood control, since they'll be coming in and building the reaches in between the bridges, making sure that they were okay with the conditions that we would leave the project in so that they can take the construction from there. Let's see. Yeah, just drilling in a rig, bringing in a drill rig in such a tight Santa Barbara neighborhood was quite interesting. We had lots of neighbors on each of the four corners of the bridge, which were, severely impacted. And even though they were cast and drilled hole piles, they still made a lot of noise and had a lot of impacts to their driveways. And so Philippine and their inspector, Fernando Perez, did a great job of notifying the neighbors, keeping them updated and letting them know when anticipated closures were going to happen. And it's okay, baby, it's okay. So yeah, it was just a very tight space and a lot going on, but the end result was great. The neighborhood was very happy, and they were happy to know that likely we won't be coming back for another 60 to 70 years at least. And so removing and replacing that 100-year-old bridge was great. And it was tough to get through, but the end result was awesome. And I know Kelly's on, and Alex, also thank you with the city of Santa Barbara for completing the project at the tail end there. So yeah, it was a great team effort with a great end result.
All right, thanks, Laura. And that is the sweetest presentation I think we've ever seen. Does anybody else want to say anything about the project?
I'll just speak up. This is Kelly. I just want to commend Laura's job. She did a really great job on this. She not only had this job, but also I think was maybe promoted during this time too. But she did a really good job as RE. She was the RE on this job, and we just did the inspection. And this was one of the larger of the local one season bridge projects, and it actually was one of the fastest that we've done. So she did a really good job coordinating, and Granite did a really good job making up time from the nesting bird delay that we had. So it was a great team.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Can I add
to all.
something really quick, Brianna?
Oh, absolutely, Alex.
Yeah, so this was a really great project that Laura had done. This project was, I think $2-3 million to build, but Laura really limited the change order on this project to only about $30,000. There were so many credits that we were getting for the city because of Laura just keeping the contractor in check and doing everything right.
Well, go Laura. That's awesome.
Thank you. There's a lot of things I've forgotten in the last 6 weeks.
I think many of us can understand that. All right. Well, thank you so much again. Great project. And we will move into the next one. This is the $5 to $15 million category. And again, the city of Santa Barbara with another bridge, the 500 Street Bridge replacement. Alex, you are leading this one for the city with Lash Construction and Jim Lash. And again, Philippine Engineering with Marco and Matt. So Alex, I think you're going to present on this one.
Yeah, thank you, Brianna. Yeah, this was a great project and definitely a much needed safety improvement for the east side neighborhoods here in the city. Just to give you guys a little bit of a background, the original bridge was built in 1930, so it was definitely approaching the end of its service life. It was considered structurally deficient. It was outdated. It was about 36 foot wide, 38 feet long, with 5 foot wide sidewalks on both sides. And unfortunately, the old bridge was straight, and it was located at a roadway that had an angle or a curve, which really limited the sight distance for the drivers and put one of the crosswalk at Canada Street in a dangerous blind spot. So the old bridge was narrow. It didn't have enough room for vehicles and cyclists to go on the bridge at the same time. And we basically replaced it with this new cast-in-place concrete bridge that meets all of the current standards. It's much longer, it's wider. If we could go to the next slide, I think it gives all the detail information on there. It's got 6 foot wide shoulders on each side, 6.5 foot wide sidewalks. It really improved the sight distance at the intersection and allowed for safer pathways for all the users in there. And similar to the De La Guerra Bridge project, before we did the bridge demo, our environmental monitoring consultant, Rincon, they performed a pre-construction survey and they found 2 nesting birds on this one. It was a hummingbird and a crow within the project footprint, which really delayed, our critical path schedule. We were delayed by about 24 working days because we had to prepare a nesting bird mitigation plan and wait till the birds fledged their nest. And we actually, our environmental permit required us to be out of the creek by October 1st. So we really had to get our contractor, Lash Construction, to accelerate their schedule, by adding more manpower, allowing extended hours, and including some Saturday work to happen so that we can meet the permitting agency deadline. A big hurdle that I thought we were going to encounter, just because of another bridge project that we had done just down the road, was drilling all 44 piles. So this bridge had 44 piles. Some of them were 55 feet deep. And then especially if there's, any kind of overhead utility lines involved, it's just gives you anxiety. But luckily our contractor was able to drill all of those piles, 5 to 6 piles per day, and complete them pretty much within 8 working days. So they did it pretty efficiently. We were able to complete this project on schedule despite all of the delays, and we even had a joint virtual ribbon cutting ceremony in May last year with the De La Guerra Bridge project. So we do want to thank everyone for the recognition, and especially thank Philippine Engineering. Matt Davis was the structures rep on this project. Marco and Raul Estrada were the inspectors. Tom Conti with Bengal, who did the design, and Stephanie Lopez with Rincon, who were our environmental consultant, and of course Lash Construction, Jim Lash and Brendan McNamara, who worked on this project. So thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex. Does anybody have any questions for the team? Well done. We'll move on. And we have another raffle. All right, Amy, I'll stop sharing.
Okay. All right, our next winner is Mark Reno. Mark, are you still on?
He's here. Yep.
Okay, congrats. I will be in touch.
Okay, here we go. All right, so up next, we have the historical restoration and preservation category. And in this category, we have the $2 to $5 million County of San Luis Obispo Public Works River Grove Drive at Estrella River Bridge rehab. And this is just really neat to how the historic bridge was reused and restored. So the County of SLO led this up, led by Corey Marsalek. Souza Construction was the contractor with Steve Souza, and Quincy Engineering with Mark Reno, our big winner. Presenting today is John Waddell from the County of San Luis Obispo. John, are you on?
Yes, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
All right. Yep, we sure can.
Okay, so yeah, I'm John Waddell. I'm the Deputy Director over Transportation. And I'm just going to introduce the project and then let Mark Reno and Corey Marsalek, if she's still on, to go into more detail. So first, just want to thank you for recognizing this project. It is an honor, and we're very pleased to have this project recognized. Corey was our project manager and did an outstanding job, very dedicated. And sadly, she has now left the county, but she has gone to Caltrans as a local assistance engineer. And so she will still be a resource within our region and within District 5. And so she hasn't gone far. So I want to thank Mark and the Quincy design team. MNS did the construction management, and Dean Rusu was the resident engineer. Caltrans local assistance was a great partner in this. And then Sousa Construction, we do a lot of work with Sousa. They get a lot of our bid projects, especially bridges. We got great bids from them, and they were good to work with. So overall, they really provided a great value. It's just, this bridge was constructed in 1910, and it's just remarkable the change that's happened in the East Paso Robles to Shannon area, including Whitley Gardens. And so just to think, it's great that we can restore this bridge and preserve this landmark. It's just a beautiful setting. There's wildlife, there's eagles in the area that we're seeing during construction. So it's just neat to be able to step back in time when you go to this bridge. Just one more thing, I'll post this in the chat box, but the Tribune did a great article about a year ago, a really nice interview with Corey, and also some footage from a 1980s action movie that was filmed using the bridge. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark and Corey if she's still on.
All right, thanks, John. Yeah, probably one of the most interesting things about this project is it actually really started off as a replacement project. So when we were brought on board as the consultant, we were designing a replacement project, and Corey and I had a public information meeting early on, and all the local residents showed up, and they were pretty vocal about their bridge. And they even brought a 100-year birthday cake celebration for their bridge, because that was the year that the bridge turned 100 years old. So you couldn't get a piece of the cake unless you signed the petition to save the bridge. And that kind of then launched the Save the Bridge campaign. So it went from replacement to rehabilitation. Now, the interesting thing was it was funded with the Federal Highway Bridge Program funds. And normally they won't allow you to utilize funds unless you fully replace or rehabilitate a structure. So there was quite a few things wrong with the original bridge in terms of the foundations and some of the other things. It was too narrow. It had overhead hits where the truss members up above kept getting hit. So it was going to be nearly impossible to justify spending rehabilitation dollars on this thing without getting it reimbursed, because initially this bridge was not considered historically eligible. So that's really when, John Claxton, well, really the county, the design team, and Caltrans got together to really reevaluate that historical eligibility. And John Claxton and the SWCA team, with their historical gurus, set out to do a bunch of research, contacted folks, evaluated previous historical scans, and lo and behold, they put together information justification, were able to run it up through the Caltrans Cultural Studies Office in SHPO, and in the end determined the bridge was historically eligible because of its, I guess one of the criterion was its association with local transportation and infrastructure development of the region. It was a great lasting example of a Parker Truss bridge. It was constructed in the early 20th century, and then finally, it was actually originally designed by a noted local county surveyor, was the designer of the bridge. And so then that really set it for its historical consideration. Go ahead and hit the next slide. So as a result of this, the funds being utilized, it really became a challenge. Well, it was great that we made the bridge historic, because now historical bridges can actually have funds utilized and not bring it all the way up to full capacity or full service. So you didn't have to make the bridge wider and some things like that. So, but then it also put challenges on us that any rehabilitation we did to it, we didn't want to then jeopardize the eligibility. So we had a solution that got us money to do the project going forward, but then it was handicapping us how we went about doing it. And so that then became a challenge. So basically looking at a way of doing it, we had to pick up this truss. And that's one of the images you see here. We had to pick up the truss and actually move it over so that we could completely rebuild the foundations, put new pile foundations down, build the whole abutments, and then pick up the truss and move it all the way back. And so doing that without doing any kind of jeopardizing that eligibility was really a challenge, and making sure that the new bridge was protected for scour and everything else. Go ahead, next slide. So during the construction, one of the innovative, the old pool noodles that people use, they went and had to install those things underneath the bridge to prevent the nesting birds. And so that was some of the things that the environmental folks did. And then because this was, a 100-year-old bridge, it was just covered with lead. And so setting up this full containment system where we could actually remove all the lead from the bridge, contain it, and then truck it off and dispose of it, again, was another challenge that we worked through. The existing deck was way too thick. And so we came up with a way of removing the concrete deck, which also helped us when we had to move the truss over itself. And then we rebuilt some of the members. And then finally, we had to actually put in a new barrier system so that the truss couldn't be hit by vehicles. And all the while, we're able to do this without kind of causing the loss of the historic eligibility. So, I mean, in the end, the county got to remove the load posting of the bridge. The look and paint of the bridge came out fantastic. Many more years of life has been added to this bridge in terms of its service. We're able to really keep this historic element in place. And I mean, it was really an incredible collaboration really between the county project manager and county environmental folks, the design team, the CM team led by M&S and Dean Russo, Sousa Construction. And then really can't say enough about Tammy Marr and the Caltrans Local Assistance Group, just in terms of what they did and brought to the project to actually be able to do something like this and save a piece of history. So really appreciate all their efforts. And just because I do see Ben Fine on here, I have to step aside and just say, okay, your bridge in Pismo was not, there was no way we could save it. So I know I'm talking about, I'm going to beat you to the punch because you're going to ask me why I didn't save your bridge.
We already had that discussion.
Okay. All right. I just had to throw that out there, but thank you for the chance to talk about this project. It was really a great team, great folks, and it really went really well.
Excellent. Well, thank you, team. Does anybody have any questions?
I got a question for the design team. How come you weren't able to save the Pismo Bridge?
You had that one coming, Mark.
I did miss the little wooden truck this year.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have them all. Next time you're in town, I have them all on my bookshelf.
All right. I will take care of that.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next project here. This is for the disaster and emergency construction and repair. So this project is a great project, again, with the Santa Barbara County Flood Control and Water Conservation District. This is the Cold Spring Debris Basin expansion. Again, Matt Griffin was instrumental in this project, along with Toby Wheeler from Ermina Construction and Kelly Wheeler from Philippine Engineering. So Matt, I believe I'm not sure if it's going to be you or Jonathan again presenting.
Oh, thanks, Brianna. I'll present.
All right.
Again, this is Matt Griffin. I'm with Santa Barbara County Flood Control. Just to start off here, the Cold Springs Debris Basin is located in the Montecito area of Santa Barbara County. It was built in response to the 1964 Coyote Fire by the Army Corps of Engineers. In this photo here, flow comes from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen. The concrete embankment's original. Our project did not modify the concrete embankment. And then all of the expansion occurred to the left or to the west of the creek. We want to thank the APWA for recognizing this project. Even though it's not very technically challenging, it's essentially taking a hole in the ground and making it bigger. But to us, it's a very important project. It was conceived after the 2018 debris flow, and it's the first of many projects that are planned in the Montecito and Carpinteria areas, representing tens of millions of dollars of improvements. It was designed in-house. The contractor was Rimini Construction, and Philippine, as Brianna said, provided the CM and inspection for the project. If you can go to the next slide, please. So just to give you a little background on how these debris basins function, to the left is a picture of what the Cold Springs debris basin would typically look like prior to the 2018 debris flow. And then to the right is a picture of the debris basin immediately after the 2018 debris flow. And the basin worked as intended. It worked very well, except that the size of the debris flow was so catastrophic that there was still loss of life downstream of this debris basin. And then to be clear, the debris shown on the right-hand picture was all removed in 2018, and the basin was restored to its original line and grade. That was not part of the subject project. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So some of the project highlights, we excavated, roughly 12,000 cubic yards of material. As we anticipated, there was a high percentage of cobbles and boulders and very large boulders. We retained some of those large boulders on site for a future project. Ramina was very aggressive in their scheduling. They completed the work maybe a month ahead of schedule. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that they did not want to sort the material. I sort of anticipated that they would want to sort the material and find local disposal sites, but they ended up hauling everything off to Santa Paula for disposal. Disposal sites are very challenging here in the south coast of Santa Barbara County. And another unique aspect is Philippine deployed a drone. They used some survey software, and on a weekly basis, they were able to estimate excavation quantities as well as quantities of our boulder stockpile. Next slide, please. Yeah, and just a couple pre and post project photos here. That basically concludes my presentation. Kelly, you're welcome to add more if you want.
The only thing I want to add is to actually thank the county on this. This is, I live not far from here, and this was a huge thing for our community to be able to improve the debris basins, and I'm very thankful for it, just being a resident there. So I'm thankful that the county continues to push for some of these permits and stuff. And I think I saw some of your environmental team on here. I know that they, work kind of behind the scenes to get a lot of this stuff approved, and I'm just thankful for it as a community member.
And I think there are many others that would echo that. These debris basins, like you said, Matt, they don't seem all that technical, but they're very critical in the infrastructure in protecting our communities. And it's incredible to see the magnitude and the size of them with the equipment. It's one thing to look at it on Google Earth, but seeing the equipment inside of it, you can really get a perspective for the magnitude of it. So thank you very much. Great project. All right. So that concludes our projects. And again, thank you all for your great projects. We are running a bit long here. We have a couple of Professional of the Year awards and some scholarships. So I hope you all can stay on. If you do have to leave, thank you again for attending, and we're going to continue on. Okay, so first up, we have the Professional of the Year. The Young Professional of the Year, Brian Nelson. The city of San Luis Obispo was nominated by Jennifer Rice. So is Jennifer on today? I know she was on vacation. So Jennifer, is Brian on? I guess we should ask. It doesn't seem like it. Brian is, for those of you that don't know Brian, he is just a fantastic engineer. He has moved up the ranks to the acting city engineer for the city of San Luis Obispo, a fellow Cal Poly SLO grad, and he previously worked in the private sector for 7 years. So it's great to have that perspective and then bring it to public works. He's delivered many successful infrastructure and maintenance projects and great attention to detail and a great leader. So it's really exciting to see someone so young, moving so quickly, and really just making an influence for the city of San Luis Obispo, and excited for him to be there. So congratulations, Brian. We'll have to all wish him well remotely once when we have a chance. Oh, we have one more raffle. All right. So Amy, do you want to?
I think we might have 2 raffles. So
do we have 2 more? Okay.
Yep. So I am about to share screen. Okay. Drum roll. Okay. Our winner is Nick Panofsky. Nick, if you're still on, I will I'll be following up with an email.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay, here we go. And our professional of the year is none other than Kelly Wheeler. I think her name was on almost every screen in this project, in this whole presentation. So Karen recommended her, and I love this. We have a celebration going on. There's Gino, right on. All right, so Kelly is Vice President of Philippine Engineering. I've known Kelly and Gino and this whole team for so long. They're all fantastic, and I couldn't think of a more deserving individual for a professional of the year. She puts her all into every project. She has vast experience on public works projects and has also done work in private sector. This year she started her own company, Bridge Dock, and I know that was not only fun for her, but she just does everything 110%. So really exciting to see that excel and move forward. And during COVID, her managerial skills just really shined, and I have no doubt about that is the case. Keeping employees safe, keeping people at the work site safe. I just can't say enough for Kelly. So thank you, congratulations. Thank you for all that you do. You're on mute, Kelly.
Oh, there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. These Gino and Karen are here. I'm thanking them, but thanks, Brandon. Thanks for organizing this. I mean, I know I think I speak for everybody when I say how this is one of my favorite events because we get to see everybody's projects and different things. And anyways, this is a surprise. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm really thankful to APWA in general. I feel like in our industry, or maybe our geographic region a little bit more, that we all kind of are smaller organizations, we're not huge organizations. And so I really appreciate the camaraderie and the ability to interact with the other organizations and know people and have mentors in different organizations. So I'm appreciative. Thank you.
It is a great community, I will say. And something else, as I was going through all of these nominations, we absolutely work on some of the most beautiful project sites, I think, in the world. So we should all be thankful for that.
I agree. It was not hard to work at the beach.
No, it's not. All right. So we have just a couple more slides here. And as Amy said, we have one more raffle, I think. So our internship, Amy, are you going to be presenting on this topic?
So Jennifer couldn't make it today. Jennifer Rice with the City of SLO is our internship chair. But really, really quickly, I just also wanted to thank Kelly. Thank you for the work that you've been doing with APWA as well, with our sponsorship program. So I don't want to let that go unnoticed. It's been super helpful. But yes, so this year we were able to take the funds that we raised from our sponsorship program and continue with our internship program. So every year APWA does 1 or 2, depending on how much how many funds we raise, $3,000 internships, and we go through an application process with the agencies and firms that are interested. We select our top nominations, and then we will help them hire. We have an application process for the interns as well. So this year we elected to just do one so that we could take the funds from the program and also carry it on through 2021. It was an interesting year. We've been doing we haven't raised any funds through 2020, and we were able to still, with the sponsorships from 2020, carry that through the 2021 year. So I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully it does. That said, City of Guadalupe was our top candidate, and they were able to hire Blake Thomas from Cal Poly. And I think that Shannon Sweeney, are you still on, Shannon?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Shannon, do you want to share a few words about your experience with the program? And
certainly, I'd be happy to. I was so thankful to APWA to make the scholarship opportunity available. We had many candidates. We interviewed 4 of them. It would have been super cool had we been able to hire all of them. But Blake stood out as being the top candidate. And so we started out with a project involving a vulnerability assessment on our water system for the America Water Infrastructure Act of 2018. And then I have some projects kind of in the wings in case, he is able to complete that. Oh my gosh, not only was he able to complete that, but he completed several other projects as well, including an emergency response plan for all of Public Works. He put together a draft sanitary sewer management plan. And he also did an evaluation of all of the sidewalks in town, identified all their deficiencies from a liability standpoint. And we also had several items in progress. For instance, he reviewed some proposals and gave some input. We had a construction project right outside City Hall, so he was able to do observations. So Blake was a sponge and just seemed to absorb everything I threw his way. I can't tell you how valuable his assistance was. And originally, we were just going to have the scholarship and be done with it. But because of a staff vacancy, we were able to extend his scholarship and actually pay a little bit extra to have him continue on until June, when sadly he needs to leave for horrors, an internship in the private sector. But I'm hoping that we exposed him enough to public service that he will be back. I would not be surprised if I saw Blake's name again in the future doing amazing things. So thank you, Blake, and thank you, APWA.
That is so awesome.
Wow.
I'm glad you're able to extend that. Blake, are you on still?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'd like to thank Shannon for taking me under her wing, teaching me so much. Thank you for Jennifer Rice also. She referred me to the City of Guadalupe because originally I had applied for a position with the City of SLO last year, but that was right before COVID made that impossible. So she was very nice. She was able to network with me, and she led me to stumble upon the City of Guadalupe. I'm very thankful for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, this is great. We normally don't get to hear from our interns, so I love this. It's great feedback. Thank you both for joining. I know we're already 10 minutes over, so Brianna, do you want to? Okay, we'll go straight to the last raffle.
Yep.
Share my screen, and then I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Okay. Our final raffle winner is Laura Yanez. I thought I was going to stop. I will follow up with Laura with an email. All right. Well, thank you all so much. This was great. And the recording will be sent out.
Before we log off, I do want to say a big thank you to Julie Sains and Amy Snyder. couldn't do this job without their help. Also, this year, Leroy assisted with some of the judging of the nominations. So it really is a team effort. I feel like an MC over here with all the support that I get. So I just want to thank everybody who helps put this together. It's a fantastic team, and just thank you again for your nominations as well, and for delivering all these great projects to our communities.
And we want to say thank you, Amy, and we hope you have a great delivery and pregnancy. And it's going to be a lot to fill while you're gone, but we're going to do our best.
You got it, Leroy. You got this. All right. Well, thanks everyone.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.